Lucerne is a very beautiful city. You have the lake, you have the mountains. It's like a little picture book version of Switzerland. But I mean, my life doesn't have much to do with the postcard idyll. My career was kind of not so straight line, I think. I learned programming, all about business, backend, databases, enterprise stuff. Programming is kind of nice, but yeah, there was still this kind of wish to create something or have a job that's more creative. So I decided I had to learn to draw because I never drew since I was a child. I've been using these books for the whole project. So that's 6 years of work. It's the whole project from the first idea to where I am now. That's the very first page. This was 2014. Yeah, this was like the beginning when everything was just possible. I love these notebooks because of the way they look, and they're pretty cheap. The paper is cheap. It's not like drawing paper or anything. It's, oh wow. That's when my son was pretty little. Black Spider, God help. There's avalanches in the game, and I kind of had to figure out how to implement them, like technically. That they go down the mountain, and it's kind of behind the scenes. The avalanche is kind of this thing that follows a ball, and the ball is rolling down the mountain, and the avalanche is kind of pulled behind this big ball, but you don't see the ball in the game. Maybe it's a pretty dumb way to move an avalanche, but you can't really just Google how to make an avalanche for a game. My old software teachers, they would kill me if they saw this. This is not conformal at all. I heard you have to do 1,000 bad drawings so you can get to the good ones. And you just draw and draw and draw all the time. I downloaded the game engine. I kind of loved it, so I switched the project from a comic to a game in the middle of the project. So it was quite stressful after that to get something together. The result of that was the colony, which is basically Mundaun but in space. When I uploaded it, people really liked it, and they streamed it, they played it. It's online, yeah, you can download it for free. This is a postcard of the Devil's Bridge. People encounter the devil in their daily lives or with their daily problems, and in this tale they want to build a bridge and they can't really finish it. The devil appears. He's always in the right moment. It's the same case in Mundaun. If there's trouble, he appears. He makes them an offer to help them with the bridge if he can have the first soul that passes over the bridge. And then he builds the bridge, and he's waiting on one side for his reward. They just send a goat, and now he just got the soul of a goat. Four years in, or 4.5, I had the ability to go to San Francisco to the Game Developers Conference. I had a mail from MWMI. They told me that they saw the game. It's kind of lucky that they saw it because there's so much stuff there. I tried to kind of get books or get something on all the aspects of things that are in the game. The wall with the pictures is also for this, just to be in it in a way. In the old days of game development, you had to have a programmer, art director, a designer. And now this kind of gets blurred because the tools are really simple. The paper is 2D, and I kind of need to make the paper that gets wrapped around the thing, because I'm drawing it on a flat paper. So it's the same principle as a chocolate bunny, which is like the chocolate is in 3D. I'm gonna print this, and then we're gonna go to the light table. Another step done, and now the actual drawing begins. It's just a block of graphite. It's the same that's in a pencil. Like, this is my favorite part of the whole process. 2B is like my average workhorse. I have also very hard ones, like 5H. It's like a knife almost. The biggest secret of the way I draw is just using the eraser as another drawing tool. And it looks super fancy, but it's just a little bit of eraser. So this is the one we made. You need to move this map in here. Here you can see where I erased. It gets this really kind of nice texture. So every point here on the 2D image has a point on the 3D model. You can move these coordinates around here. If you put it on the light, it's metal. You don't have to fake metal, you can just put metal on the paper. I mean, obviously, as a player you will never see him from this close and live, I guess. Or maybe you will, I don't know. You can still, for example, see this little detail like here. Okay, so I think that's the whole process now.
Me alu si urs den fla in bunker visitava.
The chapel was the very first thing I modeled for the game, I think. I started kind of basically creating this small piece of world where there's a chapel. I didn't really have an idea of the whole thing yet. And then kind of went from there without having the whole thing planned out from the beginning. I knew the world, like the place. And I knew it's gonna be something inspired by folk tales. It's a really interesting shape. The main roof is just very angled. You could always have a cutscene or have a cinematic. You can tell everything, but still it's kind of artificial. And in this game, you're always there in first person. You always have the view of Kurdin, which is the player character. It's a pretty big project for one person. But now I'm working with a sound designer and somebody on music, which is great. But I'm still kind of controlling their direction too. I'm kind of maybe kind of a control freak, and it's kind of hard to give aspects away. I kind of love doing just doing everything. Yeah, the ceiling is very beautiful. The windows, the ceiling is pretty much a chapel in the game. Also the benches. It's still one of my favorite places in the game, I think, because it's so full of drawings and paintings. It's like a drawing inside the game. It's one of the places where you can see best that the game is hand-penciled, I think. There's a lot of crosses here as well on the mountains. Maybe you see them. A lot of little details that are really interesting and kind of mysterious about why they are there. I read about it a lot for this game, and I try to where I could to kind of reference that as well. The first sequence of the game is when you arrive with the bus to Mundaun, and that scene was very much inspired by The Shining, and we even kind of tried to make the music kind of an homage. There's an old hotel. When I was a child, it was just a hotel, but now it's been abandoned for some years. It reminds me of the hotel in The Shining a little bit. There's a mirror in there. I don't know if it's smart to go there. And there's also some really nice nature and barns around it, which almost feel like a little slice of the game when you walk there between those places. It's pretty similar than when you walk in the game and explore the barns and cabins. Maybe we can look in here.
Michel, there is a light in the hostel.
Oh shit, that's crazy. Hey, but it wasn't there before, was it? And we have to go back there for the car. Now I hear children's voices. There's never any children here. I'm really feeling like a boy again. I'm glad I'm not alone here. Lights on. You see somebody? It feels pretty creepy, just because we only see lights. If I now see a silhouette, my heart will I will probably drop dead. It's just Mundaun, I think. My goal wasn't I'm gonna make a scary game from the beginning. It was more like I wanted to create a certain atmosphere which was very dark and very thick. Fear is interesting for me. I kind of like to watch a horror film or a dark film. It's about the immersion for me, I think, in a oppressive kind of place, but that also has moments of light and beauty. It has elements of the present and of the past of Switzerland in a way. And yeah, it kind of takes different elements that are real or imagined or invented. So it's kind of a mix. And usually the inspiration starts with something real or something specifically Swiss or something that I know, but then it can go anywhere. My view is always to do something different or something fresh. That's super important for me. Probably one of the most important things. 1918. Most of these barns are that age, or probably even some older ones. It's one of the signs of the house signs, identifying who owns it. There's another type of hay fork in the game, which you can use as a weapon against the haymen. The farmers built them themselves. I think this kind of construction is very typical to this area. Perfect reference. Just use it as a reference to draw a new texture of wood, like this really nice one with this pattern. It started as a passion project and it still is. Even now it's kind of slated for a release to to a worldwide audience, which I didn't think when I started it that this would happen, or that was the goal. It's crazy because I've been working on this game longer than I was a father, and it's strange. Everything is kind of intertwined, you know. If you work on something like this for 6 years, it's really kind of hard to imagine what happens when it's finished. And I'm very excited to see how the reception will be, because it's something so local, but so far it's very promising. It's people from all around the world have said they were very intrigued by it, and people also pick up on the things that are so specific, like the Romansh language. I think this last few weeks, or the week when it comes out, I will be probably a wreck. Like, I will be a mental wreck. Just because, you know, I worked on this for so long, and then it gets into the hands of people, and then just kind of seeing what they think and being scared that they don't like it. So yeah, there's gonna be that. And after it releases, I'm gonna take a long break, I think.